Okay, in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about reference angles. I kind of avoided talking about them initially, but I'm noticing that I think we need a little more discussion of them. So say any where you are in the first quadrant. So say you're at an angle of like, I don't know, 80 degrees. Oh, let's make that much smaller. So if you're at the angle in the first quadrant, the angle that you're going to use to make your triangle, which is sometimes referred to as your reference angle, is just the same as the central angle. So if this is 80 degrees, the central angle is 80 degrees, then when you draw your triangle, your angle in your triangle, your reference angle is the same as the central angle, 80 degrees. Where it gets a little more complicated is if we move into other quadrants. So say we're over here in this quadrant at about 150 degrees. So we are all the way over here, and our central angle is 150 degrees, where our reference angle is just the angle that is made with the radius and the x-axis. So the reference angle is always made with the radius of the circle or the hypotenuse, right? In this case, they're pretty much the same, and the x-axis. You could do it other ways, but for our purposes, just what a reference angle is that relationship. So if you're over here, since we know a straight line is 180 degrees, I would do 180 minus 150. And that would tell me what this little amount is that's in between that causes me to kind of go from 180 back to 150. And then that way I can find the angle measure. Now, if I was further along, say down here in the third quadrant, say I'm at 205. I'm just kind of making these angles up. So my central angle is 205. And I want to find my reference angle. So I want to find the angle that goes from the hypotenuse here back up to the x-axis. Well, now I can see that I went 180 and a little bit more. So I want to get rid of this extra 180 that I went and figure out how far it had been if I just started at 180. So in that case, I'm going to do 205 minus 180, and I'm going to get 25 degrees as my reference angle. And then finally, if I was in the fourth quadrant, a second to get to the fourth quadrant, I was over here, maybe I'm an angle measure of 300 as my central angle. So starting here and going right here, 300 degrees. Now I want to know how much further would it be for me to make it to 360, because I want to know the distance from here to here. So what I want to do is 360 minus 300 to figure out how many degrees make up that space between 300 and 360. And I would get a reference angle of 60 degrees. So again, the reference angle really depends. The reference angle is the angle from the radius or the hypotenuse to the x-axis, and finding it is different depending on which quadrant you're in. What you want to think about is how many degrees do I have and what do I need to find just to get this angle measure between the radius or the hypotenuse and the x-axis.